to the Small Business Show. I'm your host, Lori Brooks. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. This week, I had the pleasure of chatting with Dr. Teisha Robertson, health and fitness coach for women. Teisha, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Certainly, we're excited to have you. Today, I am joined by my co-host and marketing strategist, Jeff Beal. Jeff, welcome to the show, and thank you again for joining me.
Yes. Hi, Lori. How you doing? Thanks for hosting this. I'm excited to get started.
I am also super excited to dive into your journey, Teisha. But before we do, we want to rewind the clock just a bit. Let's go back to a time of junior high or high school and think about when an aunt or an uncle or even a professor at school would have asked you what it is you wanted to be when you grow up. What was the answer to that question?
Oh my goodness. Back those days, my answer would have been a pediatrician. I always wanted, and that was the answer for years. I just like to help, and I knew I had to be doing something to help. And at that time, I wanted to help children. I felt like it was one of the areas that I was passionate about when I was younger. This is a funny story. I have 4 sisters, by the way, but I used to always play pretend like I had a school of kids. So I would stand by the stairs. No, I didn't have any doll babies or anything, but I had my imaginary children in my class, and I would just be teaching to them, pointing to them, and speaking to them. So as I grew, it developed into, it was always something with children, but it turned into being a pediatrician which involves children. So that has always kind of been the answer. It did evolve from a teacher when I was younger, but when you said junior high, it evolved to a pediatrician.
So your sisters are always your patients then, huh?
Oh my goodness. No, they wouldn't play with me at the time. My sisters, it's so interesting you say that. I have 4 of them, but everyone was just doing their own little thing, kind of that's why I had to have my imaginary students and my imaginary patients.
That is so funny. And it sounds so familiar. I used to always want to play physician and pediatrician myself when I was a kid. And I even have, my little doctor's coat and so forth.
Yes.
But I have 3 siblings myself, and none of them would play with me either. They were just like, no, not of any interest. So I understand 100%. Yeah. So, of course, you were already interested in the medical career, in a health degree, in that path. Do you feel like that changed as you got older, or do you feel like that was just a constant thought process for you and you knew what it was that you wanted to do and started on that career path?
Yeah, so as I that continued to be the career path that I wanted. Even when I got into undergrad school, that was the career path I envisioned, being a pediatrician. I will tell you guys that what shifted my mindset was that first C that I've ever gotten. Yes, my first C in biology in undergrad. And I went to a counselor. And this is why today I have the mindset that I have. By what I mean by that is you have to be the advocate for yourself and your own journey and your own path. I went to a counselor, and I would never forget. She had told me, you're not going to make it into medical school with this C. So it immediately shifted my mindset, my path. I was 16 when I entered into college, 16 going on 17. So getting the first C in the first semester, I was young. I was like, oh my gosh, well, she must know what she's talking about. I shifted to being an undecided major. During that time, my whole world completely did a 360, because when your mind is completely shattered and you get that first, you're not going to make it in what you want to do, you get so confused and you don't know what to do. I didn't even share this with my parents, with my sisters. I just kept it to myself. Being from Trinidad, we were always raised that you kind of keep stuff to yourself and you figure it out. You figure it out until you get there. So I was undecided. And then guess what, y'all? I actually ended up majoring in education. So in undergrad, I actually did math and science education, and that's what I did graduate with. But it wasn't until my 4th year, I started working at a local Target or Target in the area, and I was a front end cashier, and the pharmacy needed help. So the pharmacist came up and was like, I want to pick her. Can she come and help me? I would never forget, it was a busy day, and all I did was be a cashier and the pharmacy. So while I was there, she asked, could you come back every Saturday? And then my role evolved into becoming a technician. And I had a pharmacist one day who spoke to me and was like, you should go to pharmacy school. But I was like, I'm already 4 years in. So what I did was I did summer school. I took an extra year to graduate undergrad. So it took me 5 years, and I went summer school, and I ended up going to pharmacy school. So while my path did not take me to being a pediatrician, the steps and the process of my life, and I will tell you, that counselor who told me I would never make it as a pediatrician was the best thing that could have ever happened for me, because it completely allowed me to reshift, refocus, and it opened the doors to different paths that has led me to where I'm at today. So I did end up graduating with a bachelor's in math and science education, which I never used because I ended up entering into pharmacy school and graduated 4 years later with a doctorate in pharmacy. So yes, 9 years later, I did get my doctorate, but in pharmacy. And, you know, the rest of that story is history.
Well, congratulations, first of all. The perseverance that it takes to continue on the journey, especially when you get to a point of that sort where you've invested an enormous amount of time, energy, willpower, a lot of yourself, never mind the financial aspect of the investment into yourself. So to then persevere and continue knowing that, you know what, there is a path for me. This is the one that is right for me. This is what fits and what feels right. And I want to rewind to the fact that, you know, you had this moment where someone who you looked up to, someone who was an instructor, someone who was providing guidance, wisdom, education in your life, created a pivotal moment with nothing but words, and how quickly and easily those moments can occur. And I congratulate you for really taking the time to take a step back, think through what was said, not necessarily ignore it, push it to the side, but really take it in, evaluate what it meant for you, not as a failure, but as the next step for you, as that evolutionary phase, in recognizing that life is exactly that. It's an evolution. We all start somewhere, and we all think we're going to end up somewhere.
So true.
And oftentimes that path is diverted, changed, twists, turns, but staying on it and having an idea of what the end goal is really the important piece. So thank you for sharing that. So once you graduated, what do you feel like were some of the first steps you took on your journey to becoming an entrepreneur?
Wow. So once I graduated, I entered the workforce, of course. So entered the workforce, and I ended up working for corporate America, the hustle and bustle, where, you know, I was thrown into traveling. No kids, this is pre-kids, so we'll get there as we go through the journey. Traveling for my clients, customers, and just, you know, always kind of keeping up with the fast pace of corporate America. I actually enjoyed it because I'm up for a challenge. And one of the things that I do like is a challenge. So it just opened my eye to a different aspect of workforce, working for such a huge company and learning how to keep clients happy, and that anything you do, regardless if you're an entrepreneur or not, you're in business for something, for somebody. You're selling for something, you're selling for an audience, you're promoting something for somebody to purchase. So it allowed me to see the aspect of basically how to keep a client-customer relationship and what is so important in that. So from there, it evolved into me joining the United States Public Health Service, into the military, which I love. It's part of what helped me to realize, you know, more of me growing. That is always a challenge, but it's always a great challenge because you're put in a position where you're just learning so much. and also continue to help. As you can see, I'm still helping today. And then it allowed me to, the next step for me was so we didn't take my journey back into my days of what got me really to here, but it goes way back to my childhood of when I was younger and I was a heavier child. Growing up, as I mentioned, I'm from Trinidad. And at a young age, I had gained a lot of weight to the point where I ended up getting stretch marks on my arms. And the stretch marks, they're still here today, but I've grown to live with them. But I did not like the person I was. The stretch marks was always a constant reminder that I gained that weight so quickly. And that, oh my gosh, it's going to be here with me the rest of my life. I tried every single thing from different creams, everything to get rid of it, but nothing worked. So as I went into high school, college, the weight just did not go away. I tried everything under the sun to try to lose the weight, but it still was there. I did every fad diet, any pill, juicing diet, everything you name, let me tell you, I tried it. It wasn't until I got into undergrad and going into pharmacy school that I had to take a shift in my life. My mom had developed high blood pressure as well as high cholesterol. And with her developing those two diseases, my mom didn't make a shift. She still didn't make a change because they put her on pills. It wasn't until she was threatened to be on diet, the shot, that my mom was like, oh no, you're not sticking me every single day. But I was a heavier person as well. And my life flashed before my eyes, seeing my mom go through this, that could be me in the future. So what I did to try, this was the second to last time I did something, I would count calories. I counted my calories with my food, but I was eating still what I wanted, but I just didn't eat more than 1,200 calories a day. And I would work out every single day for an hour on the same machine, which was my treadmill, every single day. So I ended up losing the weight because I was in a caloric deficit. But the weight that I lost, it wasn't a healthy way to lose it. My pressure was still borderline high, and everything else, my cholesterol was almost still high because I was still getting my Big Mac. But if I got that Big Mac, which let me tell you was 600 calories, I knew the calories. I just knew the rest of that day, I could not have more than 600 calories.
Right.
So again, with my mom and everything, I decided to take a healthier approach to it and lose the weight the right way by eating differently, eating healthier foods, cutting out the junk, stop with the calorie counting and focus more on what I'm consuming my body with the right way. So as I evolved and started to see other people would start asking me questions like, what did you do? How did you do it? Because I maintained. I lost the weight and I didn't go back and forth like some people usually do when they lose weight. They kind of go back and teeter back and forth. I maintained. And this is years later. This is almost 20 years now later. I maintained. So I ended up in 2016 getting my certification as a personal trainer. And then during the pandemic, actually last year, I got my certification, my nutrition certification. Nice. So as I said, it's so interesting how you take the journeys and the steps that you go about and realize. So in terms of your question with me becoming entrepreneur and the steps that got me there, it was, again, my love for helping people. This time it was more focused on helping women with their weight loss journey. I found that so many women struggled with how to lose the weight the right way because they try, it comes back, they do it and it's not healthy, or they still have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes. So I just wanted to help them the right way using what I did so they too can learn as well.
I love that. What you used was the motivation to move you forward. And it's funny, you spoke to the next question that I was going to ask you.
Okay.
What was the one thing that really kept you moving forward? What was that piece? Was it a tool, a book, a specific mindset? What was it that helped move you forward on that journey? And you truly did speak to that with it being the mindset, it being the motivation. I'm sorry, Jeff, what were you about to say?
No, I was just saying that life has a way of putting all things in place and preparing you for what's to come. And you might not realize it at the time, but it puts you in a position to where later on you're prepared for that particular aspect of your life.
It's so true. Yeah, it's so true. And like you just mentioned, every step that I've taken in life, I never realized, sometimes you question, well, why me? Why am I being told no? Why did this lady have to come and tell me that you're not going to make it as a doctor? So it's always like these questions that you have in your mind, and you question, you second guess yourself, like, okay, maybe it's not me. But again, I have come to the being, and this is my saying now, that everything happens for a reason. If
Mhm.
you really mellow, or you sulk on the no's that gets put in your face, then that's where you're going to stay. But if you take those no's as a way to say, maybe it's just not right now, this is not my time, or maybe it's a no for a reason to help protect you from something that could be even bigger or more detrimental, and just take that no and keep going. When I got that no, yes, it pivoted and it caused me to transition, but look at the doors it opened for me as well. I had no idea. So that's the thing. A lot of us look for the now. So when we get a no, we sulk in that no. We mellow in that no. But you never realize, because no one knows the future. You just don't know that that no could be saving you for something that's even more detrimental. And in terms of what you're saying with my why, as you mentioned, my mom, and making sure that when I saw her and flashing in front of my eyes, and then me as well, everyone has to have a why in terms of what they're doing. I don't care if you decide that you want to work at the store, the gas station, whatever it is, everyone has to have a why. And it's the same thing with a fitness journey. What is your why in terms of why you want to be a healthier you? If you don't have the why to begin with, then you don't have the motivation to keep going, because then what are you doing it for? So that's important.
That's the first step in goal setting. If there's no goal, you're not going to make progress, because there's nothing to make progress towards. That's why it's so important to set those goals, to have that motivation, to understand that why. And I'm glad you stated that. You hear that buzzword out there, and you hear a lot of entrepreneurs speaking about it. But I think, as newer entrepreneurs are coming into the industry, and people are moving forward on an entrepreneurial journey in a manner that has not been seen in many, many, many years. The entire nation is mobilized into an interest in entrepreneurship. And as people do, I think it's really important for them to understand that it's more than just the motivation of, okay, no longer working for my 9 to 5. It's more than just that motivation. You've got to understand the true motivation behind even that aspect of it. So thank you for that. So please share about your practice now.
So as an online health coach, as I mentioned, I call myself the health and wellness problem solver to empower women. And as I mentioned, as you went back to my story, I was always trying to help somebody. Look, from the steps with my imaginary friends to, being a teacher with the real kids, and, even a pharmacist, helping those to get better with medication. And now as an online health coach is to empower women who are at risk for heart disease due to sedentary lifestyle, poor nutrition, or at risk or have high blood pressure, diabetes, or high cholesterol, to live a healthier version of themselves, helping them through a holistic approach, getting better with sleep, help better with their nutrition, understanding that you are what you eat. A lot of people focus so much on, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. And I'm always there to say, look, you have the time. We make time for what we want in life. There's 1,440 minutes in a day. If you had to sit back and really journal what your day looks like, or what you're doing in a day, a lot of people will see they spend a lot of time wasting time. The busiest people, it's so interesting you ask. I just did a reel this morning on busy people. The busiest, most successful people, they find the time to prioritize their health, because without good health, you can't be an entrepreneur. You can't have a business. You can't work. Your health is truly your wealth. So that's my true mission, is just to allow people to see that you got to prioritize yourself. Because if you keep making excuses about, I don't have time, I don't have the money to get healthy foods, it's always something, then you're going to see that in the long run, that without that health, then nothing else could be successful in your life.
You only have one you.
Yes.
There's only one you. There's no restart button We have health bars, but they don't refill like video games, okay?
Right,
So
right.
we might be entering the metaverse. We still will not have health bars in the real world that are going to refill if we're not taking care
Yeah,
of
or
ourselves.
that quick fix pill that a lot of people are looking for. You know, I had a client was like, can I just take some? Can I just go get a pill? Look, if you get a pill, remember those pill comes with side effects. Not only that, but
Yes.
you're gonna take a pill for the rest of your life. And those pills, they do plateau. They do allow you to only lose but so much. So no, there isn't a quick fix for that.
No, not at all. Not at all. I agree. That's too funny. So no, your health is your wealth. I love that statement. I love that phrase. It's very true. And I think, it's something that again, a lot of us ignore. My coaching program is called More Time for a reason. Because
love it.
I truly do find the same scenarios when I approach small business owners who are working in and not on their business. They are finding the time to do all of the things, but not focus on the most important pieces that are going to not only drive their business forward, but also make sure that they are capable of moving forward to drive the business forward. So
true.
So if you had the opportunity to go back, say 10, 15 years and tell yourself just one thing, what do you feel like that one thing would be?
Wow. 15 years ago. I would say that one thing will be believe in you. Believe in yourself. You'll be all right. Believe in yourself. You'll be all right. A lot of times, years ago, I always looked for others to be a motivation in terms of, like motivation or for appreciation or to tell me you're doing good, you're okay.
Or validation, yeah.
Validation,
Definitely.
yes, thank you. I was thinking of that word, but it couldn't come to me. Thank you. That validation, and sometimes, and the same thing with that counselor, who didn't validate for me and it immediately shifted me. So to just believe in yourself, you will be okay. And understand that everything happens for a reason. A door closing doesn't mean a negative thing. It's so interesting. You always think of the path that you want for life. And when that path doesn't go the way you want it, some people, or even myself, 15 years ago, you want to give up. You just want to say, well, forget it. It's not for me. But sometimes a door closing, as I mentioned, is just a not right now. Just believe in you, keep going, and don't give up. That's the advice I would give to myself.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I think self-confidence is something that is gradually developed throughout the journey. Again, even if you tell yourself 10, 15 years ago, believe in yourself, I think it's one of those phrases that is so much easier said than done. Truly. What do you feel like helped you? And Jeff, I'd love to know from you as well. What do you feel like helped you really develop that self-confidence throughout the journey?
Wow. For me, it was just a mindset shift. Like I mentioned, growing up, I wasn't happy with who I was. I always looked at, again, that validation from everyone. Growing up in Trinidad, you're the heavier girl. I'm the darkest skinned sister compared to my other sisters. So it was always, you're something. Teisha, you're something. But, as I got older and just started to realize that I have to love myself first and look at, yes, I may have some flaws, but what am I grateful for? There's so many other things going on good for me. So let me start writing those positive things down that I have in my life that are going well or that are great for me. And you know what? Say whatever with those flaws, because no one's perfect. You're always going to have something. Something is going to be there. So I had to shift my mindset. I actually started a routine that I do every single morning that helps me, where when I wake up in the morning, I read a daily Bible verse. It's an app that I have, and it's a daily Bible verse that it gets. So I'm able to at least read my word every morning. Then what I do is I say a prayer and I say a positive affirmation to myself. I don't care if it's, I am superwoman, I am strong, I got this, I believe in me. So I say these positive affirmations and it sets the tone for myself, because at the end of the day, you don't know what you're going to come across in the day. The day can throw you so many different curveballs. But when I start off my day with that positive affirmation and that positive mindset, then I'm able to at least deal with those curveballs in a way that's positive. Because if you start your day and you say, you know what, one of the things I do believe in is you are what you believe in. So, I read certain things, and I don't know if you guys heard of The Secret and so forth. And I truly believe in, manifesting how you want your day to go. So by me starting those positive affirmations and starting my day off on a positive note, yes, I can encounter some things throughout the day, but I handle them in a way that it doesn't affect my energy. It doesn't affect my mood. So as the saying goes, you can wake up and say, you know what? I hope I don't get into any traffic today. Well, you just put traffic into the atmosphere. So then when you get into traffic, you're like, I knew it was going to happen. But instead, just say, you know what? I'm going to get to work in a timely manner. Even if you do encounter some traffic, my thing is, at least I got to work in a timely manner. And maybe that traffic was there to tell you to slow down. So, I just, try to manifest what I want for my day. And that's a positive energy now. And with that mindset shift that I had,
I understand. I think mindset is the foundation for that shift for people. Jeff, I'm curious, what do you feel really truly helped you with building that self-confidence throughout the journey?
Well, I think it's always building. I mean, you just keep building on top of it and be observant of what's working for you and start kind of looking at the opinions of others based on who they're coming from and how it's working out for them. So, a lot of times, you're trying to look for that validation. And so you're not being yourself and you don't know what's really working for you because you're so concerned with everybody else's opinion of what should be your life. And then you're not looking at, wait a minute, all your ducks aren't in a row, all your things aren't working out. You're not at the top of the hill and you're telling me how to get there. So, I think once you start to do that, you start feeling more comfortable with yourself. And like you said, Teisha, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Like you said, it's a mindset shift. And then you start training your mind every day to be more and more in tune with yourself. So I think that helps your confidence.
I like that.
No, I agree. Confidence is an evolutionary journey, and self-validation does not come quickly, I don't think, for anybody in life or in business. I think that it's something you work towards steadily on a regular basis and you gain greater levels of it. There's never a point where you're like, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm confident in all. Goodness. Well, I would love to know if you had a magic wand and had the ability to change anything at all, Teisha, in your practice or your business as a personal coach, what do you feel it would be, and how do you feel it would affect the coaching industry or the health coaching industry specifically?
Oh, wow. See, I was going to do them wand to get rid of my stretch marks. That was going to be what I was going to use it for. But
if you find that wand, please send it my way when you're done.
If I had a magic wand, I need a double me. I need another Teisha. I need another Coach T, someone that has my energy. That's me. Someone that thinks like me, that does like me, that knows how to be me. So honestly, I would want another me because then I can help more women. I can expand into more reach. I can double what I'm doing now and have the 2 brains to do it. So it will be 2 or 3 Teishas out here doing what I'm supposed to be doing. That would be my magic wand.
I love that.
The cloning process is in effect. So maybe
That's
cloning
right.
will be something that's popular.
when we were publishing this, or producing this, I should say, as the Technology Equals Equality podcast, I would always ask the audience to create this time machine, because that seemed to be the previous request. Now,
Oh.
after you're on TV, all of a sudden, it truly is cloning. We need the cloning machine.
Need the
So,
clone.
new audience,
Yeah.
need the cloning machine. Get on
Look,
with
if
it.
you have the cloning, you may not need the time, because people want
There you go.
time so they can get more done. But if you had more of yourself, time won't be the issue.
It's true. So true.
I absolutely love it.
Mhm.
Oh, you have been outstanding. I truly appreciate you joining us today. Please share the best way for the audience to find you.
Wow, so thank you so much for this opportunity. This was fun. I love your questions. Talk about me and my business, and you took me way back. So that was great. It allowed me to kind of just open up and just remember the good, the bad, the great, the grow, everything. So thank you so much. The best way to find me would be on Instagram. Instagram is where you'd find me. That's where I share a lot of my nutrition tips, my health tips, fitness tip, different things you can do in the comfort of your own home just to start on your journey. So my handle is at Tailored Fit for You. So TAYLORFITFORYOU. So that would be the best way to find me, is on Instagram.
Awesome. Instagram at Taylor Fit for You.
Yes.
Outstanding. I will be sure to include a link to the Instagram profile through the show notes page. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly. And Jeff, thank you again for joining us today.
Yeah, definitely. I guess I got to put down the Big Mac and start picking up some carrots.
Look, pick up some green leafy vegetables. Look, an apple, that will go a long way.
Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me.